Hi, Todd again with Max Rhymes. And it looks like you're back, which means you probably watched our introductory video. So let me just dive right in into how our behavioral patterns are programmed and what we're doing to our children. Now, I'm not a fan of talking about money, but because it resonates with so many people, let's start there. Here's a quick story about how Jackie and I, unbeknownst to us at the time, but how we were programming our daughter. So we were off to the shopping mall. I can't remember what we were getting, but an argument ensued, and I was blaming Jackie for spending too much money, and she was yelling back at me for spending too much money. And at the time, we weren't thinking anything that our daughter was in the car seat behind us. But a strange thing happened when we got to the mall. Now, I didn't want to buy anything because I was in such this negative vibration that forget it. But when we tried to buy something for our daughter, she was having nothing else. She didn't want anything either. Now, I didn't know this research at the time, so I never was able to put two and two together. But it turns out we were programming her to live in a world of scarcity. We were blending, the word money with negative vibration. And kind of conditioning her to believe that buying things was bad. And so I'm like, oh my God. So now when you think about yourself, what are you doing? How many times have you argued about money? I mean, it is the number one topic spouses argue over. I mean, how many times have you said, we can't afford this or we can't afford that? So, which really means, as you're sitting there saying, yes, guilty as charged, you're doing the same thing by default we did to our daughter. So what can we do about it? That's the big question. What can we do about it? The reality is we are all victims of our environment. Our parents, our grandparents, our neighbors, our friends. That's what molds us. That's what makes us, who we are. So we end up following the same habits, both good and bad, of our parents before us. So the question I have for you is, what are you going to do differently to break the cycle? To empower your children to truly believe that they can achieve anything they want to achieve. Because that's why we created the Max Rhymes series. We know most people don't have a decade to research this stuff. We get that. But we did. And so you don't have to. Now, unfortunately, we missed the opportunity with our own children. But like I said, you don't have to. In fact, let me give you an example of one of our rhymes, which kind of says it all, really. Here's one here where Papa took off, Max's training wheels. And Max is saying, I know I can do what others think they can't. I say it in my head like a positive chant. He's like, I know I can, I know I can, I know I can. Now, if you pay close attention to that, it's a statement of fact. I know I can do what others think they can't. Okay, and if you say that over and over again, it becomes truth. That's right, truth, and it gets lodged at the subconscious where it lasts forever. So a few weeks back, it's a great story, because a few weeks back we got a note from a mom who was telling us that her little daughter, a 2-year-old daughter, was attempting to put on her socks. So she's got these tiny little socks and she's putting them on these tiny little pudgy feet, and she's bending over and she's chanting, I know I can, I know I can. I mean, that was music to our ears. And in fact, it should be music to any and every parent's ears. But let me change gears a little bit just to kind of put this to rest here. How many of you remember Humpty Dumpty, the rhyme Humpty Dumpty? I mean, I grew up on it, so I could recite the whole thing. However, it doesn't really mean anything. But think about this. The next generation of kids, your kids, will have all of the Max Rhymes memorized, and it will help them. It'll empower them for the rest of their lives. So I'm going to get in the brainwaves in the future, the next few segments, and that'll kind of help tie a lot of this stuff together. So we'll see you next time. Oh, and until then, remember, it takes a village.